Hello, in this video we're going to go through the process of adding a new parameter to your data set. There are two ways to do so. You can right click here and add a new parameter, but in my point of view, if you are using database as data sources, you can add the parameter in the query itself. So you come here to your data set, right click on it, you come down to query, and this is the current query extracting data from the data source. If you put here, for example, where, let's say, opno equal up number, right? So if you now run it like here, right? So this exclamation mark it's going to run exactly this query and populate with the results. Before running, it's going to ask you, okay, what is the value of my parameter? And then you can just pass on what is the value of it, and then it's going to return something, right? And when you do so, it's gonna automatically create that parameter in here. And now you can configure it. So adding a new parameter, it is a great way to ask the user what he wants to see in the report. All right, so let's include a quick table, getting the order number, operation number, and operation name as an example. Now, because I have a parameter that does not have a default value, when I run my report, before actually running it, so let's wait a little bit, it's going to ask what is the value of my operation number parameter. So if I put here 20, for example, and click on view report, now only opno equal 20 will be exported. But here, it's just a value field. You can just enter anything you want, for example, 33. And I know there is no operation with this number in the database. And there are multiple ways for you to configure how this parameter behaves. So coming back to the design page, if you right-click the parameter, you can come here to parameter properties. And the first thing you can do is, what is the name of the parameter? So this here is exactly the name that needs to be in your query. How the user will see the question for this parameter. So for example, operation number. So now the user will see operation number before typing on it. What is the data type? Right, it can be an integer, float, data time, and etc. So in this case, it is an integer. So the difference here is that if you put an integer, report builder will not allow the users to type any text on it. If you allow the report to be null or not, and if you allow multiple values. So this can be very useful, and we're going to be doing that later on. Also, is visible, hidden, or internal. Hidden, it's not, of course, it's not going to be displayed to the user. So you need to assign a default value for the parameter, okay? All right, so coming here to available values, it is a good way to limit what the user can select for this parameter. So for example, you can manually specify values. So if you do here, you can put a label. For example, A is going to be operation 10, B is going to be operation 20, and C is going to be operation 30, right? So the user will see the list A, B, and C, but report builder will pass to the query. So for example, if it selects B, the query will read the parameter value equals 20. Okay, so let's test that out. So if you click now on run, you see now you are able to select the value, and you have exactly A, B, or C. So if I select C, for example, in view report, I'm getting operation 30. If you select B, I'm going to get operation 20. Right. So let's come back there. Available values. You see that we can also get values from a query. So if you do so, you pretty much need a data set for this, okay? So let's create a specific data set to use on this parameter. So you right click on the data set, so operation numbers, my data source is APS, so let's select a distinct opno from user data dot orders where dataset ID equals 15. All right, so coming here to the query design, you see that now I have all my possible operation number values. Let's put an order by here. Okay, there we go. Now that I have this new data set with a single field, of course you could have more fields, it's not a problem. You can come back here, available values, get values from a query, you select that new data set, and you select in the value field and the label field. In this example, I have a single field, so it's going to be the same, but you could have a description and an ID, for example, okay? So now when you run it, you see that I'm getting exactly that list, okay? So operation 90, only gonna get operation 90. Great. Another really useful feature is being able to select multiple values. But if you wanna use a multiple value field in your query, you need to change your where condition. So let's do so. Come back here to dataset properties or into the query. You can change the where condition, and instead of being equal, you can just say in, and you need to open and close parentheses. Okay, same here. I'm gonna put 20 just to run it. It's working fine. And now in the operation number parameter, you can allow multiple values. You see? So doing so now, if I run it, instead of being able to select a single value, I can select all, or I can select multiple values, right? So now I expect to see 20, 30, and 40. And that's exactly what I get here, okay? Right. So let's come back to parameters. Another thing that you can do, you can assign default values. You can manually specify, right? So I'm gonna specify 10 and 20 here, for example. And when you specify default values, if you run it, the report will not wait for the users to select the parameters. It will take the default values and will run it automatically. So that's a good way. And of course, the users can just add or remove values and ask to run again, okay? Coming back here, you can also, let me remove, get values from a query. So for example, if I use the same data set, opno here, now all available parameters available operation numbers will be selected by default, okay? So if I run it here, you see that all of them are selected. If you want to change this, you can create a new data set, and filter some operation numbers, and use it. So for example, I can create a new data set. Let's create a new manual data source. Enter data here, right? Let's create a default opno, and let's change this name later. Query design, let's say that my opno here, my default ones are going to be 20, 30, 40, and 50. Okay, so you have done that, and now you can pretty much, in the available values, you can default opno, not in the available values, in the default values, you can select default opno, select the opno, and you run it. Only those values will be selected by default, okay? Right. So let's come back here to see other options that are available. Now you can pretty much hide this, and if you do so, you don't have the user will not have the option to run it, to change it. Okay. All right, so we went through available values, we went through default values. In the advanced here, we can have parameters that depends upon parameters. Okay, so before going through this, let's say that the list of orders depends on the selected operation numbers, right? So let's say that I want to have a new data set called optional orders, right? And here I'm going to select, let me first copy the query from here. Sorry, so let's create a new one, optional orders. Let's select APS, paste it in here. But this will get only distinct order numbers where, you see, where my operation is within the operation number. Okay? So this is a new data set that is using the same operation number parameter. And now let's change the orders data set to change this where condition to be order number in a new parameter, orders, for example. When I do so, of course, it's going to ask here something, right? I'm not going to fulfill anything, so it's just going to return nothing. But now I have a hierarchy. First, I need to define my operation numbers. So this data set got filtered because this data set here is using operation number as input. And after that, it's when I can run the main data set using the orders filter, right? So let's do in this order also select available resources as being optional orders, order number. Okay, so running this, sorry, I'm gonna need to make this visible again. Okay, so you see that I have selected 20, 30, 40, and 50. And this is the list of all orders that contains 20, 30, 40, and 50. But if I select, for example, only 100, I know that fewer orders will have this. Now I only have 3 orders. So you see, depending on what you select, the list of orders will be automatically refreshed. Okay? And if I don't have, for example, a default value, no default value, then you're not going to even be able to change the orders parameters before selecting the operation number. So I'm going to select here 100, and I will select only this order. If I run it, now only this order has been exported, right? Okay. Of course, this is allowing a single one, but you can change that to allow multiple values as well, right? So order 10, let's select order operation 90, and let's select this and this orders. If I view it now, you're going to have those 2 orders over here. Great. So this plays a role in the advanced here to refresh the data when the parameters change, right? So now it's automatically determined when to refresh, always refresh, and never refresh. So I advise you to play with this only if your report is suffering from performance. This first option here, most of the time works really well, okay? So keeping that in mind that if your report is suffering from performance, you can play with this to maybe just never refresh if that's needed, and you're gonna save some bytes there, right? Okay, so that's it for this video. Thank you.